This is the part where I'm going to come in. I'm going to talk to you about how to start up with your Visual Studio Code and how you open up the project and everything with it as well. So before we get started with this is what I would like for you to do. Find a place on your local drive. I don't care where it is with it, but let me find a place, and I want to put mine in the E drive. I have folders everywhere with it, but find a place where you have a local drive where you store things to. And this is the first thing I want you to understand, is that make sure that you have a file structure that mirrors exactly what's on the web server. All right, because you're starting this, let's start on the right foot. File management now becomes very important right now from this point on out with it. So I have a folder that's called Fall 2020. No spaces in there, no file in the file name with it. You're welcome to do it the way how I do it. I created all these folders in the past semester with it. I'm going to go inside it. I have a subdirectory that's called imed1316. It's up to you with it. So I'm going to go inside of that. You ignore all the stuff that I have here with it. But I'm going to create a subdirectory, and I'm going to call this subdirectory inside of this subdirectory. Let me call this thing, let's call this thing, for the purpose of class exercise. All in one word, okay? Plural. Class exercises, uppercase C, uppercase E, one word. I hit enter, and inside of that, this is where I'm going to put all my exercise in here, all right, with it. So it's at this point right now. Let me clean this up a little bit. I just don't like the way how all this is, all this I have right here with it. So I just made notes, all the stuff that I'm teaching you guys with this, so don't bother with all the other stuff I have here. But it's inside of this is where, let me just create and move some of the stuff, it's called the same document. All right, let me just move some of the stuff inside of this. And I need to close out of this one. Okay, so I just to let you know, so this is a folder that I have, is the imed1316. Inside it, I cleaned everything up, put everything in a folder, a subdirectory called Documents. It's up to you. You don't have to keep it like this. My videos, I have you create based on dates and all that stuff with it. I have class exercises with here. All my class exercises I have, matter of fact, here's what I like to do. I'm going to move both of these things to that directory, probably to make it a little easier for me to actually to keep file management a lot easier with it. So bear with me for a moment. So I'm going to move both of these right now inside of my class exercise just to keep that very clean with it. All right. So this is the document that that you just did right now with it. We're working on this one right here. All right. So make sure you have your things. It's up to you and how you want to keep this. But keep it as the same image. At the end of the day, when you're all done with all this right here, inside of this right here, you have all your file structure here. Outside of this, I'm just going to create this. I'm going to do this outside of this thing in a few minutes with it. I would like for you to create a folder in here. Let's call this thing image, IMG. All right. For images, or if you want to call it plural, I don't care if you want to make it plural. Images with it, that's fine. Another document is another good document to and folder with it. So I will open up my Visual Studio Code at this level right here. All right, I will point it right here, and I'm going to create a file that's called index right here, All right. So if you have a file that's called index right now, this is the place where you want to put it at this level. All right. And the hello world, put inside a folder with it. So the only thing it's laying outside here is the index.html. Okay. So I'm gonna open up Visual Studio. It looks like this. I'm gonna redefine this in a second with it. So let me collapse some of this stuff with it. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hey, so So let me pick up where we left off a few seconds ago. I'm sorry. But I've just talked to you about some of the stuff that we did and how to define all of this with it at the same time with it. But since I have this up here and I was doing this earlier with it, so this is the hello world that I was talking about with it, and you should have typed this up in Notepad with it. But the key thing is in the IDE, and doesn't matter Visual Studio or Helix or whatever the IDE that you're using with it, don't get too attached to the software, all right? The key thing is, this is the hello word I want to point out here is that if you notice things are reserved words, they're all color-coded, they're purple, there's a beginning and there's an ending. You notice I clicked on the HTML and there's a closing tag with it. This is the closing tag is the / after the name of that tag. The indentation of moving in, it just becomes a lot easier to read. It's called readability with it. Again, the beginning of the tag and the closing of the tag with it is the / in front of it. Inside of the title, you have the name of in the tab with it. Now, the HTML tag has two parts. This is the head part and this is the body part. The head part is what's being loaded before the web page gets loaded. For instance, later on when we talk about CSS, Cascade Style Sheets, or JavaScript, you will have some of your things are being loaded before the page is being loaded. So the head goes in first, everything's loaded first. The body of the tag is the content of the tag, and each one of these things are what's called tag. Tag is a word that HTML uses for a presentation of the language with it. So you have to use the tag, and each of the tag has its certain attributes and properties with it. So bear with me with this, is that here is an anchor tag, which is an anchor link tag. This is what's called an attribute. An attribute is href, hyperreference link. The equal sign means that, oops, didn't mean to do that. The equal sign means that the right side in this particular quote, remember hence the ... Okay, remember that? Equals the left side. So everything that you assign in programming, when you see an equal sign, means the right side equals the left side. The right side equals the left side. All right, so make sure that's universal across the board with it. Again, the closing of your anchor link with it, back to your index page with it. So anyways, let me explain with what this is kind of getting ahead of myself with it, but I didn't mean to do this with you in there. But and I do have a video of all the stuff that you're doing with it as well. Here's the basic page that you're about to do in here as well, and here's the index page with it as well. So, but at this point right now, you don't have any of this time right now. I'm just giving you a little heads up on what's going on with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear all of this. I'm going to start from scratch, okay? So I just went and give you a kind of like a broadsword big picture of this, what this thing looks like right now. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to clear out all of the stuff right now, and I'm going to start over from scratch, like your view with it as well. All right, hold on. Okay. All right, let me pick up where we left off here in a second. Let me talk to you about this over here. If you're opening up this, and yours might look a little different with the file structure with what I have right here with it. So if you can please click on File and come down, and if you see where it says Open Folder, you see that? Open Folder. If you can select Open Folder, navigate to the folder that you have your file structure, all the stuff that you have in there, okay? So I'm going to find my file structures. I have a separate drive called E. I have a folder called courses, and then I have a folder called Fall 2020, and then I have a folder called iMed 1316. So it looks like this. This is just for my structure. I want you to do the same structure. This structure is the same structure as what we were looking at earlier, is this structure right here, all right, with it. So this is through the Visual Studio, that's what you have. This is through the Windows File Explorer, all right? So this is the File Explorer side of it. It has classes, documents, and images. Same file structure that I have over here with it as well. So let me just minimize this. And then again, folder name, just leave it the way how it is with it. Have it pointing that you see 3 of these folders right now with it. If you have files that are floating out here, I want you to clean all that up and put inside of your folder with it. All right, clean all that up, because when I grade you, I'm going to grade you based on your file structure as well. All right, so I'm going to select folder with it, and it looks like this with it. Got it? So right now you're at this stage right now. Okay, so this is what you just did with it, and of course anywhere you click on that arrow, that collapses it and moves these files inside of it and all that stuff with it. And you see what just happened? So I just did all of that and cleaned that up with it. I would like for you to start at this stage. So if I want to add a file right now with it, I would come in and do file, or you can do file, new file with this, and you can add in a new file. Notice it says Untitled with it. That's one way to do it. The second way, which is I find the easiest way, is I always like to do this. You click into this space right here, you do right mouse click, you see this, and you say new file, watch, and then you come up here and you type in index. Let's say I haven't done my index yet, but I give it a file extension .html. Immediately it picks it up, it knows it's an HTML file. Boom. Alright, so that's one way to do this with it as well. Now let me pause for a second. Let me pause the video for a second. Okay, so just picking up where we left off here. So let me just walk you through, and here's a nice thing about it. Picks it up and it knows the index.html is a web page because it has this type of symbol on there. And if you notice it has a white circle, it means that it's been modified or it needs to be updated, or it has been updated. All you have to do is save it. That's what it tells you to do. If you do Control S or file save, that white circle turns into an X, which needs to be saved. So let me show you a little bit about how this really nice bit. When I do this, you're gonna say, Dan, why did you even start this out on Notepad with it? And I'll tell you why in a second. But you start with that doc type, okay? Then IntelliSense. This is on the IntelliSense. You click on it, it closes your tag for you. I come down over here. I'm going to open up the HTML tag. I just put a lesser than, and I want to type in HTML. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to close that with the right with it. Hit enter. It moves it down to the next. I said to you that the HTML tag content has two parts. There is the head part. See, I close that off, and inside my head part I have what? My title tag. Nice, right? So I would say this is my index page. So I'll just say welcome to your name goes here web page. How's that? Okay, so we could do something like this. You can do, I don't care what you want to do. You can do something decorative like this, and I'll show you later on that when we get into a little bit more coding with it, you could use different type of icons in here as well with it. Anyways, so the second part of the HTML page requires you to have what is the body tag, right? So I type the beginning of the tag, it closes it off with it. So voila, you have your basic skeleton, and it indents in for you everything. This is the bare minimum for you to be in. Now here's a nice thing about it is, look, you see this line right here? It's telling you that this HTML tag closes down here. This head tag closes down here with it. If you notice the title tag, you don't ever want to bring this closing of this tag down to the next line. You can bring it down, doesn't matter. Title tags are very limited in words with it. I think there's only 25 characters in here with it, so I don't know. So if it goes off to a certain number of characters, it will shut off with it as well. So normally title tag, we leave it as on one line. And the rest of your exercise that you do here, you will actually create your index page in here with it. All right, so I'm going to do Control S. Watch this white X right here. This white circle is going to turn into an X here. Control S saves it, and that's how it's modified. All right, for the rest of this exercise number 2, I want you to pick up everything that you did here and move forward with it. You're going to create a page that's called index. This index page, where does it go? It needs to belong into a certain folder, right? So you create a folder right here with it, right? Call it a folder. I don't care, just call it a folder. Call it class exercise 2. All right. And inside of this folder, okay, inside of this folder, how do I create a file? Right mouse click on it, new file. And I'm going to, you notice that's indented in over here. I'm going to call this page basic.html. All right. So that's how you actually create. Now again, just to save some time, you can actually take this entire content right here over in the index page, click on your basic over here, and Control V, paste it. Okay, so you don't have to retype everything over again with it as well. I would change up this title with it. I'll call this thing basic page. All right, so excuse me, with it. So I'm going to stop the video right here. I don't want to go anything more than 12-15 minutes on the video. Okay. All right, this concludes our video. It's 15 minutes to 16 minutes.